Hey guys, it's Lily, and I'm going to be talking about the film Bend It Like Beckham as a transnational cultural artifact. Universally loved and well received in many countries, the 2003 film Bend It Like Beckham, directed by Gurinder Chadha, explores complex themes of representation, including gender roles in British and Asian British culture, and issues of the Asian British experience in general. As we can attest to through our own lives, the media we consume influences culture, and culture influences the media we consume. Media such as films like Bend It Like Beckham can reflect a specific culture by its depictions. Catherine Scholes asserts media brings together technologies, institutions, and cultural forms to create and convey meaning-making products that reflect, construct, and reinforce cultural ideologies. Since Bend It Like Beckham was made in the UK and depicts both British and Asian British culture while simultaneously becoming very popular in the US and other countries, it is important to consider the transnational cultural implications. Wendy Hesford and Eileen Schell describe transnationality as the movements of people, goods, and ideas across national borders. The film Bend It Like Beckham offers a good example of a transnational cultural artifact in the way that it can provide insight into the culture in which it was produced, the cultures that it depicts, and the cultures in which consume it as it is disseminated and released across national borders. The film follows the story of Jasminder Bamra, an Asian British girl in the UK who comes from a traditional Indian Sikh family and who desperately wants to play soccer. Though Jess is the main character, a close second is found in Keira Knightley's character Jules. While Jasminder is Asian British, Jules is white. Jules witnesses Jess's impressive soccer skills one day in the park and convinces her to join her all-female soccer team. Jess's parents disapprove of their daughter playing sports, and so in order to play on the team, Jess must lie to her male Irish coach, Joe. Jules's mother also disapproves of her playing soccer for her own cultural reasons, but attempts to reconcile it in her own way. In order to pursue their passion for soccer, the girls must rebel against cultural norms, pushing back on conventions of what it means to be a woman and ideas of femininity in different cultures. Through their love of soccer, Jess and Jules find friendship, and in the end, everyone ends up happily ever after. It is apparent in the film that culture plays a significant role in the families of both girls. Mike Kirkup offers several ways that Jess's background is explored, with elements present in the film, such as religious imagery present in Jess's home, traditional Indian clothing such as the sari and turban constantly worn by members of Jess's family, the use of the Punjabi language, the notion of marriage within the Indian community, traditional Indian food, and others. All of these elements work in relation to one another to provide the viewer with an understanding of cultural elements that make up the Asian British experience. The Bamra family clings to their traditional ways as an attempt to preserve their Indian heritage and culture in the UK. Jess's parents' disapproval of her interest in soccer seems to stem from their interest in preserving traditional Punjabi culture. According to a blog entitled Widely Adventured, the author notes that the Bamra parents have a fear of the impact of Western culture on their daughter's behaviors. Although her parents are widely orthodox in their traditions, Jess seems to straddle the lines of Indian culture and British culture. She wears modern Western clothes and has a more modern outlook on some social issues, such as her acceptance of her friend Tony's homosexuality. She has also shortened her name to Jess, a more westernized version of her full Punjabi name Jasminder. By infusing British Western modernity into her beliefs and gaining the eventual acceptance of her parents, Jess is able to depict how one can successfully retain aspects of their own culture and beliefs while merging into one of another. Through the film, one can see different ideas of how women are expected to act. In accordance with their Orthodox Indian beliefs, playing soccer deviates from appropriate behavior and hobbies for an Indian woman. Both Jess and Jules find the way that their mothers want them to act problematic. Although Jules's is obviously a little different since her mother wants her to act in a traditional British or westernized way. According to Duncan Toons, Mrs. Bamra's ideal of a real Indian lady is one who dresses traditionally, doesn't show her likes to boys, which inevitably happens in soccer as women play in shorts, cooks traditional Indian food, marries a nice Indian boy, and raises an Indian family. Soccer then becomes synonymous with unladylike. Michael Giardina contends they view it as decidedly unladylike and see it as symptomatic of a corrupt British modernity that in this case is drawing their daughter's attention away from learning how to make a proper Punjabi dinner, searching for a husband, and respecting one's elders. Mrs. Paxton, Jules's mom, on the other hand, is frustrated as well, but because she dislikes Jules' tomboyish behavior that accompanies her interest in soccer. Jules's mom wants her to subscribe to more Western and British ideals of femininity, such as padded bras, makeup, and more dressy clothing that shows off her body. When Jules fails to meet these standards, Mrs. Paxton worries that Jules is gay. This assumes that all girls who do not like wearing dresses or makeup are immediately gay. However, we know that one's sexuality is not determined by their behavior or the clothes that they wear. In the end of the film, though, both parents realize the errors in their different ideologies surrounding appropriate behavior for women. Jamie Reese states he, just as father, recognizes that his daughter identifies with an English definition of what it means for a woman to be happy rather than an Indian one, and that it makes her no less his daughter and no less Indian. She has created a new identity that is an amalgam of Indian and British culture. This shows a successful integration of British definitions of femininity and Asian British definitions of femininity. Many have championed the film for its global themes of empowerment for women. Since movie often reflects culture and vice versa, it is significant to understand feminist cultural context in which the film falls under as a transnational text. Justine Alby situates Bend It Like Beckham along with other popular British films such as Bridget Jones's Diary in a post-feminist British context. Although post-feminism is a global concept, Alby argues in her article Post-Feminism in the British Frame that the ways in which British films engage with post-feminist themes is different from their American counterparts. Alby discusses the way the post-feminist girl power idiom influenced the film. In this essay, she situates British girl power as the equivalent to American heterosex-positive post-feminism, centering around independence and individuality. Alby also states in her article that the Chadha intended the film to be a girl power movie. One can see this through the happy ending where Jess successfully integrates modernity and tradition when her parents accept who she is as an individual instead of limiting her to their definition of a proper Indian lady. Mridula Chakraborty champions Chadha for her portrayal of an Asian British woman as a multidimensional character. Alby further argues that while the movie depicts a British representation of post-feminism, it clearly also resonates within an international context considering the fame it received in other countries, including the US. The director, Chadha, is said by Mridula Chakraborty to be the daughter of immigrant parents from Kenya who were also Sikh Punjabi. In the book Feminism at the Movies, Chakraborty devotes a specific and long section of her chapter to the importance of situating the director within a transnational context. Chakraborty asserts that Chadha's work records the complex relationships between Britain and its colonized peoples from the Indian subcontinent. She explores characters that belong to two worlds and two communities, and this is a transnational idea that many can relate to, especially within the melting pot that is the United States. According to Chakraborty, Chadha is also related to feminist filmmakers of diasporic origin from the Indian subcontinent who makes films that function as alternatives to mainstream cinema in their own countries as they discuss issues brought by post-colonialism and the global flow of capital. Chakraborty further contends that South Asian diasporic cinema addresses audiences familiar with or already enamored with Bollywood. According to Mike Kirkup, Bollywood is a term used by journalists, filmmakers, and the media to describe the large-scale popular musicals produced in India for national and international consumption. They largely reflect Indian culture, and many have been released in the UK and found fame in the US as well. Because of this, films such as Bend It Like Beckham can find wide transnational success with audiences that are already interested in the Bollywood genre. Chakraborty argues that the success of a film such as this is tied to the rise of India in the global marketplace and that it plays to a time when India is seen as very popular. In both the UK and other countries, it wasn't surrounded by any controversy and didn't create any sharp divides in opinions. There is also an increased interest in many countries in women's soccer with the growth of many female-only sports teams forming. Bend It Like Beckham as a transnational culture artifact can give insight into cultures and complex issues such as normative gender roles that exist within many societies transnationally and other issues of experience and representation.